Good evening and welcome to Prime News on my Major Prime. My name is Genda Peljum Blanche King and you're watching us live from Douala in the littoral region of the country after the launch of Sinopharm vaccination campaign in the country yesterday in Yaoundé. Modalities pertaining to the distribution of the vaccines have been laid to clarify the population. In the following report, Dolingonde tells us more.
200,000 Sinopharm vaccines for an anticipating population of 27.04 million people is one of the biggest stakes the Cameroonian government is tackling in terms of the distribution of the first batch of doses, which landed Sunday, April 11th at the Yaoundé Simalène International Airport. While receiving the jab yesterday at the COVID-19 Care Center in Yaoundé, Minister Manawoda Malachi of the Public Health added his voice to Prime Minister John Gute to say priority pertaining the distribution exercise will be given to health officials across the country. Reason why he stands out as the only government official to have been administered of the vaccine. However, with the existing worries in the minds of many Cameroonians, the major concern by many has been the modalities for distribution. And according to this strategic plan, after the administration of the vaccines on health personnel in the country with special interest on the frontline workers who have direct contact with the COVID-19 patients or the testing crew, the first batch of vaccines will be distributed in 243 accredited vaccination centers in the 10 regions, starting from the most affected COVID-19 regions as follows. The Central region will benefit almost 44,000 doses of the vaccines, while the next badly affected littoral will get 34,380 doses. The Far North region will benefit 24,640 doses, and the list goes on. Also, once individuals are vaccinated, they will be issued a vaccination card by the vaccination team. However, exceptions to the vaccination campaign include pregnant women as well as people with fever and high temperatures ranging from 39 degrees Celsius or above. On the part of the government, the backdrop behind the procurement of these vaccines is aimed at reducing the mortality rate and the widespread of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. A surveillance system will be put across health districts for proper follow-up of the vaccinated. Meanwhile, the government of Cameroon will on the 15th of April launch the vaccination campaign for its health personnel. Also to be taken into consideration, the most vulnerable and persons exposed to the disease, estimated at an over 3 million persons, will be the next recipients. And finally, persons who voluntarily decide to receive the anti-COVID-19 vaccine from China would be vaccinated.
Cameroonians have equally reacted to the news of the arrival of about 200,000 doses of Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccines in the country, expressing fears and worries over the effectiveness of the vaccine. The first 200,000 doses were received into the country over the week, and these doses are expected to curb the high number of positive cases in the country. Eileen Sama spoke to some people who expressed their worries through a microphone.
Cameroon has been hit hard by a second wave of the pandemic, with its health ministry reporting over 61,700 cases and 919 deaths since the outbreak of COVID-19, with a daily average number of coronavirus-related deaths reaching a new high of more than 53. For 2 years since the outbreak of the pandemic, the country has implemented various barrier measures to fight the deadliest virus, with very few persons respecting the measures and others doubtful of the reality of the existence of the virus in the country, reason for the high spread. But with the new Sinopharm vaccine strategic move by the government of Cameroon, the protection of its citizens against the virus through the vaccination scheme will definitely need more sensitization and reassurance, as many are unwilling, uninformed, and even bitter about the turbulent time faced by the country. Let's take a listen to this Vox Pop.
I was tested negative, so I think the coronavirus is for those that treated negative. So for my own part, I don't really know.
I heard that some other people that taking it, but I myself am afraid of taking it because I don't know if the coronavirus vaccine that they're going to give us, if I'm afraid maybe the virus is inside the vaccine itself, so I am afraid to take it.
I don't think that I can receive the vaccine because I don't think that the corona is very wide because there are crises in Cameroon. They are killing people. People are dying more than the sick that they are saying that is in Cameroon. But they are not even looking at that one. But now they want to kill people. Because for me, I'm seeing that it's killing.
I would not like to receive the vaccine because for me, I don't really think that it's real. I don't think it's real. Those vaccines, they can instead be the one to harm us, so I will not take the vaccine.
Yeah, I need to take the vaccine because that coronavirus, no easy. It's for all my business. Because for the town, the same fine. Because I don't know coronavirus. All my customers.
A really complicated scenario with very little information and awareness concerning the vaccination scheme, the vaccine Sinopharm, and the need to be vaccinated. Cameroonians are still very skeptical. The authorities are now tasked to carry out massive sensitization campaigns to educate each and sundry on the safety and importance of being vaccinated against the most destructive virus, COVID-19. It is worth noting that frontliners have been given priority due to the risk they face on a daily basis, and the vaccine will not be imposed or obligatory as purported by many in the past.
4 persons have been confirmed dead in Likumba Tiko subdivision after allegedly consuming poisoned food. The incident that occurred on Monday or yesterday has left families and inhabitants of Tiko worried, as everyone claims to have little or no clear knowledge of circumstances surrounding the death of these 4 people. Investigations have, however, been opened to ascertain the real cause of the deaths. Details with Crise.
3 children, including a 60-year-old woman, have perished in Likumba, a neighborhood in Tiko subdivision, Fako division of the southwest region of Cameroon. Reports from the Tiko Health District, where these victims were rushed for prompt medical attention, indicate that 7 persons ate from a pot of fufu corn and vegetable prepared at home and also drank from a common bottle of palm wine, allegedly containing a poisonous substance.
So actually today we received an old mother, her age 60 years old, was rushed unconscious, and from all information gathered, it was realized she ate poisoned food or drink, but we are yet to confirm.
The remains of this 60-year-old woman was said to have been rushed to the Tiko Health District after the 3 young children gave up the ghost at home. Unfortunately, the medical practitioners could not save her life after doing all their possible best, as the poisonous substance suspected to be contained in the food and drink had eaten up deep in her system.
So we did our best to do all we could, but she passed away. That's all I can say. And we have 2 children here, each one, and that's the other one there. They are still monitoring them. They also ate the same food.
At Press R, 2 young children and 1 adult survivor who partook in the meal and drink were under intensive health care at the Tiko Health District and the latter at the Cottage Health District. Meanwhile, the mayor of Tiko paid a visit to the Tiko Health District, while families and onlookers were inconsolable following the tragic incident which they are yet to comprehend.
Pregnant women in the southwest region have been reassured adequate maternal health care during their 9 months of pregnancy in a bid to reduce maternal mortality. This revelation was made during a twin ceremony to mark the launch of the Matches Foundation, a non-profit humanitarian organization, and Matthew's Midwifery Diary. Clarissa Kowe with details.
The rate of maternal mortality in Cameroon still remains alarming. Worse still, with the ongoing security crisis plaguing the restive Anglophone regions of Cameroon, many young pregnant women in the southwest region of the country have undergone cruel child delivery processes, as some have put to bed in bushes without adequate antenatal care.
We are looking at a situation where the crisis has actually displaced a lot of these women, and we have situations where they put to bed in the bushes. They are not able to actually maybe attend antenatal clinic. They don't have even the money to buy basic kits that are necessary for the delivery process. And by so doing, when they practice the delivery process with aseptic, with techniques that are actually liable to infection. So we are trying to see how we can target those areas that are far away from the hospital.
It is in this light that the Martyrs Foundation, a non-profit humanitarian organization with mission to cater for moms and babies, launched its activities in the southwest region.
Some of them give birth inside the bushes, and some of them have been bitten by snakes during a labor inside the bush. And this one have made us so sad. We were like, what should we do? What should we do to see that our women attend ANC before giving birth? So when Mata came up with this initiative, I was like, wow, what an intelligent midwife. You know, Mata is still a student midwife in the University of Boya, but she has already gone extra mile to see that she back up what is happening. So I'm so glad about it.
Also, during this twin ceremony that held in Boya, the Martyrs Diary, which is an educative piece to teach pregnant women on how to manage their pregnancy for the next 9 months, was launched.
Given the fact that the world has gone Android, it has been a social media form in order for us to reach that gap between the women and their health. And now the Mom and Baby Diary, the Mom and Baby Foundation comes in as the reach out sector of the diary. Because of young girls, because the young girls are the future mothers of tomorrow. And if they are not focused on today, the rate of maternal mortality is not going to drop to the zero we imagine it to be. So we have the change start now. We have to eradicate it, starting from the young women that we aim to reach out to that level of the society.
At the end of the event, gifts were also handed over to some 15 expecting mothers while they celebrated the birth of a foundation that has come to alleviate their health issues as pregnant women.
Still talking about COVID-19 and measures or ways to curb the spread of the deadly virus in the country, the Limbe City Council has donated some face masks to the population of Limbe and its environs to boost the fight against the deadly pandemic in the country, considering Limbe is one of the hardest hit towns in the southwest region of the country. The city mayor, Andrew Motanga Mojimba, led the team recently, as Kumono Rimbom tells us.
The population of Limbe and its environs have been called upon to strictly respect the measures put in place by the government to curb the spread of the coronavirus pandemic in Limbe and the nation at large. The call was made recently by local administrative authorities from the 3 subdivisional councils in Limbe, alongside the Limbe City Mayor, Motanga Andrew Mojimba, and the District Medical Officer, Dr. Constance Nguninje, as they embarked on the sensitization visit to sensitize the population on the prevalence of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The team, headed by the city mayor and the district medical officer, visited the Limbe New Market, Old Market, Slaughterhouse, Half Mile, and Mile 4 Park, educating the population to strictly observe preventive measures to contain the spread of the virus. The senior divisional officer for FACO, Engamba Emmanuel Ledu, took keen interest on the sensitization exercise and joined the theme to distribute face masks to some market users. Going by the city mayor, Motanga Andrew Mojimba, the fight against COVID-19 pandemic requires a collective approach, reason why he chaired the theme of 3 mayors of the subdivisional councils in Limbe and the district medical officer for Limbe Health District to educate the population on the realities of the coronavirus pandemic while urging the population to stay safe. The city mayor frowned at Limbe denizens who prefer carrying the face mask in their pockets while in public gatherings. He called on them to make it a duty to wear their face mask to protect themselves and others from contracting the virus.
Coronavirus is real and that it is causing a lot of damage at this moment. All the authorities in town have put their hands on deck to accompany the Limbe City Council for this mass sensitization. You know that the market is the place where it's difficult to maintain social distance. So we thought that we should distribute masks and sensitize the population in this market because they cannot do social distancing. They can put on their mask.
A huge consignment of face masks was equally distributed during the exercise, with city dwellers scrambling to secure one for themselves. The Limbe City Council has equally planted a number of hand-washing points in markets and streets to encourage the population on frequent hand-washing.
The third and last term of the 2020-2021 academic year started yesterday across the national territory under strict respect of all anti-COVID-19 measures at Juval School Complex in Douala. School authorities have stepped up measures to curb the spread of the virus. Lasha Kingsley was there earlier today. He gathered the following.
The third and last term of the academic year 2020-2021 has begun. Starting within a special context, COVID-19, many schools in Douala have adopted measures that will keep the students and pupils safe. Juval Bilingual School Complex is one of the few schools in Douala 5 that has a disinfecting point.
In view of taking strict measures against COVID-19 in Juval, we have put a disinfecting point wherein students, like parents, they all pass through to be disinfected before they get into school. Actually, a new measure put in place to fortify the other measures we were put in place, washing the hands and using hand sanitizers. Putting this point in place was just to go a step further to show our engagement against COVID-19.
Nganje Mbonte is a science teacher at Juval School Complex. He says nobody is excluded from the process of disinfection.
In fact, talking about the beginning or resumption of classes this morning. I'm teaching for 5 science, and the way things were put in place, I'm quite impressed because we began at the gates where our hands were disinfected and everything. And then we meet the students in place who are ready to start classes.
Kwan Jeremy is the Dean of Studies at Juval School Complex. It is a back to school that we had made preparations for a week ago, and our main plan was the reinforcement of barriers measures against COVID-19. With the resurgence of the virus and its effects on the field, at Juval we decided to step out of our comfort zone to do the extraordinary, reason why a disinfecting point has been installed, making us to have moved a step forward in the fight against the pandemic. Parents and guardians are very impressed with the new disposition taken by the school authorities. I am very surprised to have arrived this morning to see that disinfecting point has been installed. We appreciate this measure taken to fight the health crisis. It is only safe for this reporter to state without any fear of contradiction that Juval School Complex has set an example for other schools to emulate when it comes to fighting COVID-19 within school milieu.
Like most other schools across the country, schools in the East region have equally adopted measures to boost the fight against COVID-19 in the country. And our reporter in the East region confirms that the attendance of yesterday was quite encouraging. Jean Didier in the French language.
Après 2 semaines d'interruption des cours, dû notamment au congé des Pâques, la communauté éducative de la région de l'Est a renoué avec les campus scolaires dès 7h30 du matin. Élèves et enseignants ont répondu présents. Ici, au lycée technique de Bertois à Cano, c'est presque le 100%. Seuls quelques retardataires restent attendus parmi les 1210 élèves régulièrement inscrits.
Le 3e trimestre est le trimestre où au cours duquel les candidats aux examens présentent ces différents examens. Il s'agit donc d'un trimestre capital, déterminant pour la vie de chaque élève et de chaque parent. Je vais faire comprendre à nos enfants l'importance que revêt le 3e trimestre. Et je leur ai fait savoir que celui qui veut réussir doit travailler avec beaucoup de détermination. Parce que là, il s'agira de présenter des épreuves, n'est-ce pas, aux différents examens.
Au niveau des tout-petits, maternelle et primaire, c'est la même ambiance. Les salles affichent complets et les cours sont dispensés ça et là par les enseignants. Les classes d'examen n'ont presque pas connu de congés de Pâques avec les cours de rattrapage pour combler les horaires perdus avec la pandémie du Covid-19. Le système de mi-temps a été implémenté afin d'éviter les contaminations. C'est le cas du lycée bilingue de Bertois qui accueille plus de 700 élèves déplacés du Nozo et enfants réfugiés centrafricains.
Nous avons environ 700 élèves déplacés qui sont ici, qui fréquentent normalement comme les autres élèves. Quand tu viens ici, tu ne peux pas savoir s'ils sont déplacés ou pas parce que nous avons pris les dispositions, les accueillir, les mettre dans les conditions normales.
Les résultats des différents examens montreront à coup sûr l'impact du coronavirus dans le système éducatif de la région de l'Est.
Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Joseph Betty Asomo, has warned and cautioned candidates and parents to stop all attempts of corruption into EMIA and the National Gendarmerie. This comes after widespread criticism from the population who question the enrollment strategy. Audrey Zatsa has more in the following report.
The request formulated by Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Joseph Betty Asomo, in his press release yesterday, 12 April 2021, aims at putting an end to corruption in official examinations and recruitment in EMIA and the National Gendarmerie. According to him, ever since the announcement of the launching of the entrance examination into EMIA and the National Gendarmerie, as well as those of recruitment in armed forces, services have been crumbling under requests and recommendations, accompanied by receipts of deposits of files trying to obtain admission of certain candidates, which defies the principle of merit into these national institutions. Reasons why he has called on candidates, parents, and relations to stop all attempts of corruption to get admitted into these institutions, as their attempts will be futile. Minister Delegate therefore reassures that officials of the Ministry of Defense have been given instructions to strict vigilance, moral probity, and firmness as regards such acts. It is to be recalled that Joseph Betty Asomo had announced the recruitment of 29,230 personnel in armed forces by 2025, recruitments which are most often subject to all maneuvers in a context of generalized corruption and ambient unemployment of youths.
And in sports, we talk Cameroon Elite One Championship in Pool A. AS Fortuna is first with 11 points. Renard Stadium third with 10 points. Fovu fourth with 8 points. And Union PWD, Jico FC with 6 points each. Dragon, Avion and Edinsport are sixth. Yafu is last with 0 point. In Pool B, Panther is first place with 9 points. Apiges third with 8 points. Cotton Sport fourth with 6 points to its credit. Column and Tonnerre occupy the fifth positions with 5 points each. UMS, New Stars and Yosa are last in the standing with 4 points. And it's with that we end today's edition of Prime News on My Major Prime. Thanks for being with us. See you tomorrow at 6:30, God willing, for another edition of Prime News on My Major Prime. Faith Tata Berenyo coordinated the news, produced by Ewane Eli Nolinga. Genda Pelgi Blanche King is my name. Stay tuned to My Major Prime. Coming up next is Prime Hour with Kim Leonard. Enjoy today's fresh edition of Prime Hour. Happy viewing and good night.